Hello, this is George.
And Bonnie.
And this is Adonai's Sanctuary of Truth Classroom. Now today we're going to be talking and discussing some stuff that seems logical, but doesn't always say it in the scripture. Is that how a good way of putting it? Okay. There are some interesting statements made in section 36. Breshit 36, or Genesis 36, chapter 36 of Genesis, talks about Esau. 36:1, please.
This is the genealogy of Esau, that is Edom.
That is Edom. The nationality of the Edomites were from the descendants from Esau, who was a twin of Jacob. Now 36:2 states Esau chose Canaanite women for his wives. Not going to have my honey try to repeat all those names, except she's going to read a little bit in 36:3.
And Basmat, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Neviah.
Basmat, the sister of Neviah. It's not the first time we've heard about that. Read 25, verses 12 and 13, please.
Here is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abram's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian woman bore to Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael, listed in the order of their birth. The firstborn of Ishmael was Neviah.
Where did we hear that?
I don't know.
Firstborn of Ishmael was Neviah. And now you see that Esau married Ishmael's daughter, Basmat. Every once in a while they call him Edom. We'll get to that. And to even make sure you understand exactly who this Basmat was, Scripture states she is the sister of Ishmael's firstborn Neviah. This isn't the first time we read about Esau being rebellious to his parents, Isaac and Rebekah. No, we see that in 26 verses 34 and 35.
When Esau was 40 years old, he took his wives, Yehudit, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Basmat, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. But they became a cause for embitterment to the spirit of Isaac and Rebekah.
Again, Basmat, the daughter of Elon. And we just read in 36:3, this Basmat was a sister of Neviah, the firstborn of Ishmael, Abraham's son, born to Hagar, the slave girl of Sarah. It seems that one statement keeps getting brought to the forefront to prove to the history of what one improper action has taken its toll on the history of God's chosen people, Israel, the Hebrews. Now my sweetie's going to read 36:6 and 7.
Esau took his wives, his sons and daughters, the others in his household, his cattle and other animals, and everything else he owned, which he had acquired in the land of Canaan, and went off to a country distant from his brother Jacob. For their possessions had become so great for them to live together, and the countryside through which they were traveling couldn't support so much livestock.
Well, that's kind of interesting. They had so much livestock, the country couldn't support both of them. Now my sweetie's going to read 13, verses 5 through 9.
Lot, who was traveling with Abram, also his flocks, herds, and tents, but the land could not support their living together because their possessions were too great for them to remain together. Moreover, quarreling arose between Abram's and Lot's herdsmen. The Canaanites and Perizzites were then living in the land. Abram said to Lot, "Please let's not have quarreling between me and you, or between my herdsmen and yours, since we're kinsmen. Isn't the whole land there in front of you? Please separate yourself from me. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If you go to the right, I will go to the left."
Now here's something kind of interesting. In both cases, they had to separate because their possessions had become so large. Adonai is keeping his promise to Abraham and his descendants. And what was that promise? To prosper. The rest of 36 talks about his wives, where and his descendants that ruled. You can read them yourself. That's kind of hard speaking when I look at it. Yet, we could have read 36, 40, and 41 to name all of Esau's sons. Yet the point is told in 36, 43. Read that.
These were the chieftains of Edom, according to their settlements in the land they owned. This is Esau, the father of Edom.
That states that the father of Edom, in other words, the father of the Edomites, was Esau. Now here comes the beginning of the story of what we call Daddy's little pet, Joseph, or in your English version, Joseph. My sweetie's going to read 37:1 about Jacob.
Jacob continued living in the land where his father had lived as a foreigner in the land of Canaan.
Yaakov, or Jacob, lived in the land where his father Isaac lived as a foreigner in Canaan. Jacob moved back to that place. Why? Well, she's going to read 35, 27 through 39, or 29. 27 through 29.
Jacob came home to his father Isaac and Mamre, near Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had lived as foreigners. Isaac lived to be 180 years old. Then he breathed his last, died, and was gathered to his people, an old man full of years, and his son Esau and Jacob buried him.
Buried Isaac, then stayed. We studied Esau's descendants. Now comes Jacob's family time. The first part of 37:2, please.
Here's the history of Jacob.
Okay.
When Joseph was 17 years old, he used to pasture the field with his brothers, even though he was still a boy.
Joseph, at age 17, would watch over the herds with his brothers. Now the next part.
Once when he was with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zeph, his father's wives, he brought a bad report about them to their father.
Now, did you notice who the sons were from? When Joseph brought a bad report to their father, the sons of Eli and Zilpah, the two maidservants of Leah and Rachel. In other words, their names were Gad and Asher, Zilpah's sons, plus Dan and Naphtali, Bilhai's sons. They were the sons that Joseph snitched about. All the brothers seemed to think and hate that Jacob loved that one. He loved that one. They looked at as the snitch of the group. They got agitated. They didn't like a snitch. Now, sweetie's going to read 37, 3, and 4.
But now Israel loved Joseph the most of all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a long-sleeved robe. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than the other brothers, they began to hate him and reached the point where they couldn't even talk with him in a civil manner.
In other words, jealousy started to creep in. It most likely was shown to the brothers before. But here it is stated when Joseph was 17. Is that when it becomes obvious? The favoritism wasn't just because he was a little boy anymore. No, he started growing up. And he still got babies. No, he is now known as Daddy's full-fledged favorite. Above all the rest, Daddy's favorite son. The brothers must have felt abandoned because of this little creep. So much so, Joseph's brothers wouldn't even carry on a civil conversation with him. You might say they despised their baby brother, not because of him, but because of the favoritism their father openly showed to Joseph. And it even seems like it was right in front of them. My sweetie's going to read Bereshit or Genesis 37:5, please.
Joseph had a dream which he told his brothers, and that made them hate him all the more.
Here is Daddy's little pet. And now he is telling us something about this dream he had. Great. Read 37:6.
He said to them, "Listen while I tell you about the dream of mine."
Can you see him? Listen to this dream I had. Now read 7.
We were tying up bundles of wheat in the field when suddenly my bundle got up by itself and stood upright. Then your bundles came, gathered around mine, and prostrated themselves before it.
Your bundles of wheat were bowing down to mine. They took offense to his dream. Yet was Joseph just telling the brothers his dream without the thought of having hurting their feelings? Having or hurting their feelings. Read 8, please. 37:8.
His brothers retorted, "Yes, you will certainly be our king. You'll do a great job of bossing us around." And they hated him still more for his dreams and for what he said.
His brothers got really angry at this dreamer. Or was it because they really didn't have an answer to his statement of his dream? In other words, they took it personally. Even it was just their younger brother talking about his dream. This 17-year-old dream caused frustration to spring up between him and all of his brothers. Read 37:9, please.
He had another dream which he told to his brothers. Here I had another dream, and there were the sun, the moon, and 11 stars prostrating themselves before me.
Here we go. Baby brother is at it again. He wants to tell us about another dream. What and how crazy is this one going to be? Oh boy. Even Dad got agitated at this one. The sun, meaning the father, the moon, his mother, and all 11 brothers, this time they all prostrated before Joseph. Now that is stated in 37:10. Read that.
He told his father too, as well as his brothers, but his father rebuked him. What is this dream you have had? Do you really expect me, your mother, and your brothers to come and prostrate ourselves before you on the ground?
Yet it seems to be getting to his brothers a lot more. Well, his dad just let it go. After all, he's my favorite. Verse 11, please.
His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept this matter in mind.
Yaakov, or Jacob, says to Joseph, read 37:12 and 13, please.
After this, when his brothers had gone to pasture their father's sheep in Shechem, Israel asked Joseph, Aren't your brothers pasturing the sheep in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them. He answered, Here am I.
His brothers were in Shechem, pasturing their father's sheep. That's what he said. Then 14 comes up.
He said to him, Go now, see whether things are going well with your brothers and with the sheep, and bring word back to me. So he sent him away from the Hebron valley, and he went to Shechem.
Go and see if everything is good with your brothers and the sheep. Then come back and let me know, will you, Joseph? So Joseph left the Hebron valley, go to Shechem. Now here's something kind of interesting. It took me a little searching for this one. Shechem was about 50 miles from their home in Hebron. It wasn't like just going out to the pasture of your farm and going back to the house. Jacob sent Joseph 50 miles away to see if everything was going good. And it seemed Joseph was alone. See, a man saw this young boy wandering around in, well, read 15, please.
Where a man found him wandering in the countryside. The man asked, What are you looking for?
What are you looking for? I've never seen you before. What are you looking for? Now read 36.
16? 37.
I'm sorry, 37:16.
I'm looking for my brothers, he answered. Tell me where they are pasturing the sheep.
I'm looking for my brother. Do you know where they are pasturing their sheep, or our sheep? It was kind of a question to a stranger. Now read 37:17.
The man said, They've left here because I heard them say, Let's go to Dothan. Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan.
Your brother took the sheep to the area called Dothan, which is another 20 miles north. So the brothers were about 70 miles away from their home in the Hebron Valley. After his 50 miles, and then the 20-mile journey, Joseph found his brothers in Dothan. Talk about being really mad at your little brother. The first part of 18, please.
They spotted him in the distance.
Here comes Daddy's favorite, with that special coat. Now read the rest of 18, please.
And before he had arrived where they were, they had already plotted to kill him.
Let's kill him. You think they're a little mad? Talk about being angry at their little brother. Think about this. Were they upset at their little brother as much as being mad about how Dad blatantly showed that he was Daddy's favorite? Then came his dreams on top of everything. The brothers put a plan together. 37, 19, and 20. Please.
They said to each other, "Look, this dreamer is coming. So come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these water cisterns here. Then we'll say some wild animal devoured him. We'll see then what becomes of his dreams."
Kill him and throw him in one of those cisterns. So much for his dreams anymore, wouldn't it be? Now here's this young man who just traveled 70 miles to see if everything is going good for his father's sheep and his brothers, and he walked right into trouble with his brothers. Talk about having a bad day. Read 21, please.
But when Reuben heard this, he saved him from being destroyed by them. He said, "We shouldn't take his life."
The older brother speaks up and tells the other brothers, "We shouldn't kill him. Just throw him in one of these cisterns." Verse 22.
"Don't shed blood," Reuben added. "Throw him into this cistern here in the wilds, but don't lay hands on him yourself." He intended to rescue him from them later and restore him to his father.
Don't lay a hand on him that way. Then in the last part of 22, it explains why he wanted them to just put his younger brother in one of those cisterns. Remember? Reuben said, this cistern. Put him in this cistern. Reuben could go back and get him out and send him back home to his father. Can you imagine what story the younger brother or Joseph would have told his daddy? Think about that. Joseph arrives. His brothers, they went up and threw their arms around Joseph. Hey, bro. His older brothers acted like Joseph was their personal enemy instead of doing that. Instead of greeting him. Stripped him of his favorite son's statue symbol, the robe or coat, and threw him into that cistern that Reuben said. See, it was empty of water. Read 37, 23, and 24, please.
So it was that when Joseph arrived to be with his brothers, they stripped off his robe, the long-sleeved robe he was wearing, and took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty, without any water in it.
Yeah, but the brothers got together, and then all the brothers started to ponder about how bad they just treated their younger brother. Maybe they shouldn't do that. No. They, read the first part of 25, please.
Then they sat down to eat their meal.
No big deal. They just sat down to eat a meal. Well, finish 25 and read 26, please.
But as they looked up, they saw in front of them a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead, their camels loaded with aromatic gum, healing resin, and opium, on their way to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What advantage is it to us if we kill our brother and cover up his blood?" Cover up his blood.
What were they thinking? Let's profit from this. See the caravan of Ishmaelites? Now we're we don't have to hurt that boy. Here from Gilead, they have people from Gilead passing by going to Egypt. Then Judah, if I remember right, someone special came from that tribe of Judah. Yet he was the one who wanted to make a profit from selling his kid brother. Why kill him? Let's sell him. Verse 27, please.
Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites, instead of putting him to death with our own hands. After all, he's our brother, our own flesh. His brothers paid attention to him.
We like that one part.
After all,
he is our brother. Let's not kill him. Let's sell him. For 8 ounces of silver, Joseph's brothers most likely didn't barter with the Ishmaelite caravan leader. No, they just wanted Joseph gone. So Joseph took the journey to Egypt with his, well, you might say, his new boss, the Ishmaelites. Think about it. Joseph was going to Egypt to be someone's slave. Probably in chains or rope tied around his wrist or drug along somehow. And walking for most likely around 20 to 30 days to get to Egypt. Not traveling very fast. Although treated like baggage, he would have been fed so he would bring a good price when he was sold. Most likely, if you think about it. They wouldn't starve the guy and then get pennies for him. I don't think you, and probably you, can't imagine how he felt when his older brothers sold him and watched as the Ishmaelites put chains on Joseph before leaving for Egypt. Scripture never says, but do you think he was hollering at his brothers? Why? Reuben, the oldest, went back to the cistern. He had a plan. He went back to that cistern. And read 29, please.
Reuben returned to the cistern, and upon seeing that Joseph wasn't in it, tore his clothes in mourning.
Well, Reuben felt bad. What did they do? He tore his clothes, and it says he tore it in mourning. He panics, and it seems he wanted some answers. I'm the oldest. What did you do? Read 30.
He returned to his brothers and said, "The boy isn't there. Where can I go now?"
The boy isn't there. What have you done? What have you done to him? Where can I go now? Scripture doesn't say this, but they must have told their older brother what they did, and how all the brothers had to stick together to make their story seem believable. That's where we're going to stop. Imagine all 12 brothers getting together. Oh, I'm sorry.
11.
How all the brothers got together? We got to tell Dad this. We got this goat we're going to kill and put blood on his coat. You know the story long before I get to it, but Well, I gotta stick together. We gotta make this believable so Dad won't be really mad at us and hurt and just get away from us. Here's what we gotta do. And they stuck together. Made it believable. And that's what we'll get into next time. Well,
Interesting.
that's an interesting place to stop.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked for 30 minutes. And I think it's a good place to stop.
Yeah.
Let people study. If you want to look ahead, read what happened. Everybody knows the story, even though, maybe the preachers are putting their own slant on it. Not totally scriptural. We're going to find out next week or whenever we're on. So all we can say is, God bless.
Have a good week, guys. Please like and share it. Need to get this out to as many as we can. And thank you guys who always check this out and for being part of this classroom.
And it isn't, we've talked to other people and they think we're trying to convince them not to follow their denomination or their religion or whatever. All we're trying to do is bring out the truth in the scriptures. We're not trying to make you a Christian or a Jew or a Baptist or a Methodist or a Lutheran or a Catholic. We're trying to get people to study the truth in the Word. And if we don't say what the Word says, we're held more accountable than anybody. Because we know that God's talking. And that people have to listen to what God says, not what man says. God bless.